simple and straightforward. Like, is there a hole here? No, we're good. Other pieces, it does seem like she does have some mechanical knowledge, as she like adjusts different pressures and valves and things like that, which bit surprising for someone of her station, but she seems pretty adept at it. Eva's eyeing this entire place in true spy manner, trying to understand all of it. And you guys can hear her muttering. Perhaps she doesn't care to censor herself all of her findings. Just what she's genuinely estimating Adelia is doing. But you guys just keep following Adelia. She eventually finishes her time in this upper locked vent space and returns downstairs and into a basement space. A basement which you guys are semi-familiar with. Is this the same supply basement space that you guys snuck through to enter the tunnel network? And that door is still there.
So the tunnel is already made. I see.
Yeah, some tunnels are pre-existing. Although this time it's not like obviously overgrown and stuff like that. And a knock happens at the door. And Adelia goes, thank you. Adelia goes over and opens up like the eye slot to see who it is. Oh, and then she opens it up, and enter in a young man, darker hair. God, I don't know if this is a roll or if you guys would just recognize it. Actually, no, you guys don't need a roll. Ace recognizes him.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is Mark, Ace's former owner.
Oh.
It's interesting seeing him alive, and Ace doesn't. Well, let's roll for Ace. Does Ace understand that this is a dream, or does Ace?
Oh god, he's so stupid.
No.
So Ace immediately runs over to Mark with a burst of speed and excitement, and an impossible odd broken through. Barking, yapping the entire time until he leaps and tries to like lunge into Mark and phases through him. And hits, because Mark just came in through the door, hits against the door. And all that excitement is immediately replaced with sorrow. His tail tucks, his ears fall and flatten. He begins whimpering. And since you guys have custody of Irina now, you guys can understand Ace, all of you. Mark? He's like yapping in this high pitched whine, but you guys understand telepathically what he's saying. Irina just closed the distance and sort of picks up and holds and hugs onto Ace. It's okay. This is just a dream. Alright, anyone helping Irina? Because she might need the help on this persuasion.
What roll is it?
It's a persuasion roll.
Can I assist by casting Animal Friendship? I don't know if
Badger will run over to comfort him as well.
Dolly's gonna say, he can't see you.
I'll give her a reroll, but technically, Animal Friendship only targets, like, it only makes them friend charmed by you, not
that's
by
fair.
Irina. But I'll give her a reroll, so not advantage, but
And someone else helps her.
Yeah.
not bad. Not bad. Yeah, we're not gonna bust out the reroll. 22. There's like literally only 5% you can do better. Oh wait, Guidance.
Ooh!
Ace quiets down and just sort of, I don't know if dogs can sob, but he just sort of sobs into Irina. Irina gives Ace back over to you, Badger. Probably the best next best form of comfort.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Not fair.
I know. I know. Just hugging on him.
In due time, he sort of tuckers himself out, literally crying himself to sleep. The two individuals of Adelia and Mark are none the wiser to your guys' friends, because you guys...
Mm-hmm.
Actually...
Oh.
So we don't see baby Ace with him?
You do not. But actually, let me roll. Pew!
Jesus Lord, have mercy.
No, they are none the wiser on you guys. None the wiser. You guys hear Adelia and Mark talking. It's quite clear that they know each other to some decent degree. It starts with Adelia asking Mark what he's doing here in the first place. He's not a patron, and I guess that's fortunate, of this establishment. And he just simply remarks that he's running some goods to the madam of the place. And it's quite clear when he says the goods that Adelia catches it and that they're illicit products, one might say. She doesn't question him beyond it. She doesn't question him. But the two of them then catch up, asking, how's life been? How you doing? It sounds, from the exchange, it sounds like Adelia has something she's saving up for. As Mark questions her, like how close she is to finally buying it. It's not a creature, I can tell you that, or else there's a lot more questions that would be involved in the maintenance of such creature. But they never say exactly what it is. And Adelia does a remark that she lost pay today for trying to, so to speak, show initiative, only to damn herself in doing so. So Mark's like, ew, that's... He's not surprised by it, but he just pities her for it. Can all of you roll me, I guess insight, using either your wisdom or your charisma.
Come on,
You know what
this is
I'm
going you
thinking.
say.
This is equivocally, you guys know in like some RPGs, there's like, there's a certain, like when you have a conversation, there's a portion of it that's like a different color, and you can highlight that portion and it gives you like context for what that term is. That's essentially what this is. They're like pulling context
Giving
from the
context.
conversation.
Very
Like, you're trying to,
Morrowind.
very Morrowind, Pathfinder.
Oh my god!
Pathfinder RPGs do it. Okay.
Where was that earlier?
You had to suffer the one to get the 20.
It happened with Cop, and now it's happening with me.
Indubitably.
This is just the beginning of my climb, I hope.
I assume those of you that succeed share your findings.
Yeah.
No, all to myself, yeah.
Got a natural 20. Okay. I'll posit some general info on you guys, and you guys are free to ask questions thereafter. Let's see where to start with. Well, let's start at the beginning. Adelia was born in this house, in this whorehouse, to an unknown mother. Probably for the best, but who knows. She has lived and worked here her entire life since she was a kid. The madam, who knows if she actually does this, but she claims that she keeps an ongoing ledger for every single debt that Irina has accumulated, including when she was a kid. So food when she was a kid, put that in the debt. Right? Broken object as a kid, put it in the debt. And it has interest. So there's an ongoing increasing debt that she is a part of, that she is indebted to. To a point where she doesn't actually have a number. Or at least Adelia hasn't bothered to ask towards it yet. On a natural 20, Adelia does actually think there is a ledger somewhere. To those of you that are more scumbag correlated, you guys would put money that there is not a ledger anywhere, that this is just some fictitious number. It's a vibe-based number.
Vibe.
It is a vibe-based number.
Ow.
And the vibe will never be there to say you're free of it. Mark is also aware of this ledger and its non-existence, but he just doesn't have the heart to tell her that it doesn't exist. So he just sort of lets it roll.
Buddy.
You can't take away her only shot at freedom.
Her hope.
Hope.
For one reason or another, to the point where neither of them are like knowledgeable of it, Adelia is not, how to say, sent to work in this brothel, in that regard.
Yeah.
They don't know why. She's a pretty enough girl. She's relatively of age in the Free Realms, a place where death is around any corner, depending on which city you live in. So it just never has happened, and they don't know why. That point where they say this in their conversation, but you guys just sort of pick up.
She's
on
the
it.
madam's daughter. I'm calling it here.
Who knows? Who knows? Unsurprisingly, Adelia has a penchant, a green thumb. She is one of the pivotal people that helps maintain the gardens out back. Although they do have actual gardeners. So. What else? What else? I don't think it's surprising to hear that Adelia has never left Velkester.
Yeah.
She's left the brothel. She's not that, like, Cinderella syndromed. But, yeah, she very seldom leaves it. She usually is just too busy to. She's known by some of the courtesans of the establishment. Predominantly to a neutral way, either in some avoidant or pitiful way. Some of them do take to her, others hate her.
Yeah.
Some say that she is an up-and-coming person that the madam's going to put in place whenever one of them leaves or quits or whatever. Others think that she sabotages them. How she does so is anyone's guess, but, you know, whatever. That's their delusion to have. But more often, most of them just sort of avoid her. She's, for lack of a better term, bad news. Not in the sense that she sabotages, like some of the others are capitulating, but more of a, like,
by association.
Yeah, she has the madam's direct attention. They're not trying to catch that attention by associating with her. The ones that do like her and help her do so covertly. So, So that's the baseline for Adelia's life. She does have schooling. I will also drop that in. She actually does have schooling. Not to Moe's degree, to the point, which is actually something Mark says, not to the degree Moe has studied. Moe with her actual calculus. But, you know, she's had some basic things she was taught as a kid. Other things she's just picked up through her time here. For example, like the steam vents and heating and all the pressurizations and stuff like that. That's something she picked up just by know-how. Like, she just, you know, did it herself. Figured it out. So, the School of Hard Knocks. Irina is taking in all of this conversation, which lasts like 30 minutes. And she just takes it in with this, like, intrigue. Like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, oh, wow. Like Owen Wilson.
Wow.
However, the conversation gets cut short when Adelia's name gets shouted once more by the madam. And she visibly flinches at that, like a kid being caught out by the teacher, with her hand in the cookie jar. If you want, I can go talk to the madam and buy you some time. If you don't mind. Anything. He rushes upstairs. As he leaves and the door to the basement closes behind him, she goes over and double-checks the lock on the tunnel entrance before finding a nearby crate, just sort of leaning against it and sighing very, very prominently. I hope we're not too familiar with this as people, but, you know, you guys might have seen it depicted, hopefully not experienced, but I digress. It's quite clearly a sigh of how much more can I take? Like, it's almost like despairing sigh. Like she's holding, she's barely held together. And eventually, after only a few moments to comprise herself, she goes upstairs. Well, I can see how Velkester changed it to Ventorian hands. These sorts of contracts, Eva does air quotes around that term, contracts are relatively common. in the lower class of the Ventoy League.
Awful.
So, yeah, I'm with Gardock. This ain't no way for no one to be living.
I wonder where the madam is now.
She was one of the
Ashes.
first. She was one of the first people to leave.
No justice.
She had a few patrons, wealthy patrons that took her and some of the other girls. And they left you behind. Did they?
Did you not go with them of your own volition? Do you
She
recall?
blinks a couple times. Does she recall? Let's find out. I'm sorry, Irina. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Irina, but the GM don't got good luck.
Sarina.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Remind me what the
Hmm.
scene was when we found Mark and Ace and Irina.
Mark was dead.
Mark was dead.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mark
Yeah.
was dead with a puncture wound at his neck going down diagonally through his body in a way that would go through heart and spine. You guys are well aware now, definitely bugbear work.
Yes.
Ace was barking near him. That's the bark you guys heard to investigate. And Irina was trying to calm Ace down.
And now seeing how Irina, or I guess Adelia, and Mark were friendly towards each other. Him being, I presume, one of the nicest people to her.
In a public way, it's probably, yeah.
Yeah. She was probably watching over him as much as she was watching over Ace,
Mhm.
who she probably knew.
It is what it is. The world around you guys begins shifting. As Irina thinks once more, like, do I remember this? Did I stay here on my own volition? Red spores begin pouring out from her in a semi-familiar manner, I suppose. And you guys find yourselves in a new, well, still in the same building. Same building. But in a different part of it, and clearly at a different time of day, because it's a lot quieter now. Certain scents are not as potent. Looking out the window, it's not evening time anymore. It's daytime, but it's still raining, so it fits with the music. Don't worry about it. You guys see Adelia, who is like using like a cart that has like different like towels and stuff on it, and she's like going into like different little bathhouse sections rather, of this establishment. Restocking, filling up, like, swapping out, like, I don't know, bars of soap or something, candles, if you have that in a
Yeah.
steamy location, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Restocking
Sure.
firewood for the
Candles.
sauna, yeah, stuff like that. Checking vents and piping and stuff like that. Just doing stuff. Maintenance, rather, upkeep. Where she opens the door and sees, well, you guys are following her gaze, really, because you're sort of behind her. She sees a woman in the middle of killing someone.
Yeah, alright.
There's a not dressed man in here who's in the middle of, in a sort of serene way, bleeding out, his blood trickling down the drain. And there is a woman standing atop him. She, unlike him, is fully dressed. And she looks a bit familiar, if I can find it.
Uh-oh.
Black Widow, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hey, wait, what?
Wait a second.
The door opens up, and Adelia, having been unaware of this murder being happening behind the door, she's holding like a little stack of towels that floats to the ground immediately. To this woman, which you guys know her name is Madison, she's in the middle of cleaning her blade against one of like the running shower faucets, and just looks in a glacial way at Adelia. Like, and yeah, you're not quite sure if the tone is "don't say a word" or "I'll grade another witness." You're not quite sure. But Adelia doesn't either, and she immediately begins pleading. Wait, I come in and close the door. Okay, ma'am. Enters, kicks the towels in front of her, closes the door. Lock it. Door locks. Madison continues cleaning her knife. What's your name, girl? Adelia. Well, Adelia, before you start pissing yourself, Madison reaches out to one of her coat pockets and produces some parchment and holds it out for her Adelia to take. She stares at it. Doesn't go closer to Madison for fear of getting assassinated. And it gets to a long enough point that Madison turns from cleaning her knife and looks at her. You do know how to read, right? I do, ma'am. Well, take it. Read it. Okay. She grabs it, opens it. This might not be familiar to some of you. Roma recognizes it. It's a bounty hunter's warrant. Bounty hunters are a guild in the Ventori League. And they have some, I'll call it charter outposts out in the Free Realms. More like drop-off points for bounties. But this is a bounty for the now dead man right over there. Although it does say dead or alive, in fairness.
Easier dead.
You can read over Adelia's shoulder the list of his charges. Let's see, it goes... bribery, extortion, sexual assault, dodging arrest, murder of an officer of the law. It's a pretty healthy list of charges.
Not a good man.
No, not a good man at all. And now he's down.
Villain through and through.
Yeah.
All legal, kid. She says kid, but Madison doesn't look that much older than Adelia. She sheaves her dagger.
If it was legal, then why is he wanted?
And that's how she became Irina through murder.
Wah, wah, wah.
Bonk.
Madison holds out her hand for the warrant back, and Adelia shakily gives it back. She folds it up and puts it away. Stop it for a moment. And then she turns towards Adelia. You don't talk much, do you? She shakes her head. Madison just sort of tiredly, like, I don't know, gets like this look of disappointment. Then she brandishes... You guys saw her in person. She brandishes one of her crossbows and aims it at Adelia's face. And immediately Adelia's knees buckle. She crumples and falls to her knees to the ground. Water still spilling over the place. Oh, she's getting wet as the water sort of wraps onto her. You really are pathetic. Please don't kill me. I'm not gonna kill you. She puts it away. I think you're already dead. As dead as him. Points at my corpse. Look at you. Well, like, girl, have some respect. I don't know what you mean. Of course you don't. Oh, fucking course you don't. She shakes her head. And you never will. She looks at her. And for that, you have my pity. She looks at the towels scattered across the ground. Goes over, grabs one off the ground, and puts it to where the man's puncture wound against his sternum area is, and begins dragging him out. What's your name? Adelia. Be senior, Adelia. She just drags him out. This very slow, recurring. as towel and corpse gets dragged. Actually, no. Madison would probably take the cart that Adelia is using for all the towels and commandeer it, and use it to wheel this guy out of here. And you guys see not Irina in this tizzy, this trance. To probably all of you, actually. This is sort of the look of someone that has just had their first brush with death. There is a tension in the look and body, but also a gratefulness that they are still alive. And depending on some of you, you guys might have seen some Survivor. What's it called?
Survivor's Guild?
Survivor Guild, yeah. Depending on which one of you I'm talking to, you guys might be more familiar with seeing Survivor's Guild. Not present here, obviously, but yeah, definitely the look of someone that just nearly got killed, potentially. Or at least they think so. That's the bounty hunter. The one that went to go save Roma.
That was one of them, yeah. Small world. She was alone, though.
Perhaps they have not met to become partners yet. Oh, he's waiting outside.
Or elsewhere. It was one man. Hardly requires 3 heads.
True. Quite true. Also, the music.
Interesting that
There's no music. It's just story sound effect now. I like it. I like it.
Thunder rolls, Dahlia.
It's raining outside. Oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of good because like it kind of shifted to just rain about when Adelia opened the door, so it's like feels like a good transitional note.
I like
Hell yeah.
Like, oh god, the whimsy is gone.
interesting that this is one of the dreams that Irene has been granted. Must have been a very integral part of Adelia's life. A turning point.
It must have been. You guys see Irina walk over to where Adelia is still like knees splayed across the ground, just sort of like trying to compose herself, and she like squats, like wrapping her arms around her knees, like a schoolgirl like looking at like a cat on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And just tilts her head, looking at herself. Not quite sure what she's trying to do. She does reach out and try to boop herself on the nose, though.
it.
I think Falk will go and crouch beside her. What do you see?
I see a very scared, crying girl. But this is me, right? Or it was me?
I think Falk looks at Delia, kind of tilts his head, looks at Irina. If I woke up tomorrow and forgot everything about Emmerich Falk, forgot my family, forgot my homeland, what drives me, I think I would still be Falk. I don't think that would change. Granted, that's maybe a bit different from dying and coming back to life twice now.
She points at that.
But I think there is still Adelia in you. Somewhere.
You guys hear movement coming down the hallway. You guys were, where the towel cart was. A very lovely woman peeks around the corner, having quite clearly witnessed the carnage of towels on the ground, wondering wondering what happened. Adelia, what happened? She enters into the room. And Adelia just sort of turns like a deer in the headlights, like sort of like, oh, hey, are you okay? What? Here, come on, get up. Wraps a towel around her. Okay, how about we go to the kitchen and grab something real fast? You can tell me what happened. I don't think I'm allowed to. The the lady of the night looks around. Just between friends. Okay. The two of them leave, leaving all of you just sort of alone in this bathhouse room. That was Chloe.
Was she your friend?
She was. In case you guys don't know how to spell Chloe. I don't think there are many ways, other ways to spell it, but just in case. Chloe.
It's like Joey.
Oh my god.
Okay, touche, fair enough.
Do you remember anything about this, Nat?
She blinks. Well... Archer?
I'm rolling a charisma save.
I shouldn't even need the advantage.
We're on-
Yeah?
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, are we standing or I forget?
You guys are, it's your call. You guys want to be sitting next to Irina. Did you guys
She's
not
on the
affected by...
ground. Dolly's kneeling next to her on the opposite side of Full, but I couldn't remember if she was on the ground.
Yeah, she was like squatting.
Yeah,
You
Dolly's.
you guys aren't affected by the water, so you guys are good. I do. She was one of the girls that got taken to Velcaster. Or, she shakes her head. Valtonio.
She's probably still alive then.
Probably.
I hope she's happy. She seems like a sweet girl.
She had her moments. But she always apologized. If she said something too bad.
Too bad.
Sometimes she would get really nasty. In arguments. But she apologized.
She argued with you.
Sometimes.
What about?
Clients. Food. Wine. My future.
Your future?
Tilts her head.
There are more than a couple of times where she said I could probably just sneak away. And then Madame Alicia would never find me. But I was scared. So I never did it.
And that made her angry.
She nods. I think she ran away from home. So that's how she knew it could be done, but she hugs herself a bit more tightly. I never had the courage.
It sounds less like she was angry at you, more that she was angry for you. You had
Yeah.
this opportunity. She wanted desperately for you to take it.
Yeah. There are a couple of times where she was gonna quit. But she always stayed. She blinks. I think she just didn't want to leave me alone. so she stayed.
A good friend.
She nods. Yeah. A good friend. She turns from her reminiscent, just her 1,000-yard stare towards you guys. Like you. All of you.
Well, we haven't had any arguments yet.
She shakes her head. I don't have any preferences. She blinks. And I'm not afraid anymore.
That's good.
Can all of you roll me insight though?
I was about to ask. No, you're not afraid
Is it
anymore,
the
are you?
same stat as before?
No, just insight, insight.
Ooh! Ooh la la!
Oh, wow, now all the good rolls are coming in, huh? Yeah, I guess it's a success across the board, except maybe Badger, but might as well just lump you guys all together. It's... the way she says it is a bit eerie. Aside... how's this? She doesn't know if she can be afraid. She's dead. Any moments where she has fear are alien to her. Like, as if, like, I'm telling you to look at a color in the distance that your eyes can't comprehend, but holy shit, you're seeing it! Someone call H.P. Lovecraft! Right? It's like, you weren't aware of your capacity to see it before, and yet I've illuminated to you that you can, and that's what makes it more daunting. She isn't sure she can feel fear, so any times where she does feel afraid, that it's a really exaggerated, amplified version of fear, because how do you feel something you weren't supposed to feel, right? So when she says, I'm not afraid anymore, she says that in a calculated way. She can't feel fear anymore, aside from exception here or there.
In that case, I don't think Dahlia would say that.
No, what's that is that? No, I was kidding.
No!
I forget, what did you say? Or not
That's
say?
good.
Oh.
You know, not being afraid anymore. I'm not sure what she would say, if anything.
I know what Eva's... Eva will be your guys' segue into it. A blessing and a curse.
Fear is the strongest human emotion, as they say.
Well, mortal emotion. Looks at Badger.
Fear and love. Those are the two strongest.
Falca looks Irina over, wonders if she can't fear. Can she still love?
Yeah, what other emotions aren't available?
What did you roll? 21?
Yeah.
That one doesn't seem to strike her as badly, I guess. It doesn't resonate with her. That's what I put it. So she might not be able to fear, but she does still have plenty of capacity to love, as shown in the platonic look she shows most of you.
Mhm.
It is not, how to say, it is not calculation or whimsy that's what caused her to kill herself on your guys' behalf.
Yeah.
So,
She's just in the mood.
I'm in I'm a little martyristic, sacrificial mood. No. Do you all think that we're still in a chapter? What do you mean? Well, we started in the beginning. He gestures at you, Falk. Went to the middle. Gestures at Caradoc. And all the way to the end. Gestures at Badger. So, what is after the end?
The epilogue.
Look.
He puts a finger at the both of you, like, hey, hey, you
Pretty
guys.
cool.
We read.
What is a book?
I can't read.
I would know the word epilogue.
that would actually make sense.
Probably not, right? Because like that implies like some sort of story basis that your people probably didn't have.
Or
Is that
I
like
got you right, maybe
chapter
storybook.
4? Nah, Dahlia would just look lost.
It's, I suppose you call it the happy ending afterwards,
Doesn't seem very happy.
or like an ending.
Like the ending.
Still don't seem like an ending, bruv. I mean, look at her. She like gestures out the door where Adelia was taken.
I think it's a
Maybe we have to
prologue.
find more.
An origin. An explanation.
What's your next, Irina? Irina just sort of stares for a moment at nothing, and then more spores begin spilling out from her, engulfing all of you once more. When you guys come back, the scent of perfume and cologne and cigar is lingering, faint, and fading. Replaced now by an unfortunately more familiar scent of overripe harvest. You guys see this establishment, now quiet and empty, towards the beginning of the plague. Well, maybe not quiet, maybe not empty. Adelia is amongst a small subsect of people that are still here or happen to be here when quarantine hits, as they are, I guess you call it ransacking the place. Some of them are patrons. Very few of them, but some of them. Most of them are workers here. As some try to diplomatically allocate certain things, but others of them are ready to throw down for certain things, particularly food.
It's like Black Friday.
Yeah, it's like Black Friday. And Adelia, in the midst of all of this, I'll call it rioting, small as it is just still. She doesn't help herself to anything. She just watches all these people squabble amongst themselves. Lost. And you guys are brought to this point in time next to her as she sat at the receptionist desk. Watching, listening, cocking an ear at the higher floors, all of these arguments and exchanges, the sounds of certain things breaking, shelves being toppled, etc., etc. She's just sitting there, not doing anything. Well, aside from observing.
Are the madam or Chloe in sight?
Mm-mm. A couple of people are trying to break quarantine, which you guys are relatively familiar with. Quarantine was pretty ineffective. Some places held on to it for longer, like your guys' inn that you guys are holed up in. But that's predominantly because of some guard presence nearby to enforce it. Out here, it's quite clear there wasn't enough or at all any guard presence to enforce it. So boards are being pried off of the doors and stuff like that. Quarantine measures that were plastered, like thin posters being ripped off. People are leaving, and it's quite clear this was I'll call it the final moment of quarantine for this building, as everyone just sort of has had enough and are clamoring to get out, be it in a peaceful or non-peaceful way. One of the girls, who has a small little pack filled with little goodies, some you could see poking out are golden fixtures ripped off the wall. She's leaving, and she sees Adelia, and just sort of does like this sort of She turns up her nose at her.
Oh.
Staying around to die, kid? Adelia sort of blinks sleepily at that. Fucking mute. Then she leaves.
Bye, badge.
Bye, bitch.
What you guys say, bye, car?
Phone.
That was Jenna. She never liked me. Well, if you're lucky, she died in the plague. I doubt it. Why so? Jenna was always resourceful. Eva rolls her eyes at that. As if being resourceful is enough to survive a city-shattering plague.
Yeah.
But then again, Eva herself is also a resourceful girl, so she can't deny that it could.
To be fair, lots of people did survive, so... Yeah.
You didn't try to do nothing, Irina. Grab something, a weapon or some such. She shakes her head. I was afraid that someone would stop me. That they'd hurt me if I tried. So I just stayed here. Did you try leaving after everyone else had gone? He shakes her head like once again. I knew there were things out in the city. I knew I couldn't protect myself. She looks around at, albeit now a bit more deteriorated and ripped apart, brothel halls. This was my home. I knew everything about it. All the hiding spots, escape routes. She stops for a moment. And honestly, I felt bad. About? I didn't want the flowers in the back to die. Eva looks at you guys and is like, well, they technically didn't.
Yeah.
She technically, they technically are still alive, or they were.
Jin's nodding, like, to himself in approval, like, yes, why would you let that guard go to waste? It's so beautiful.
So you stayed.
She nods.
I don't know how else to ask this other than, how did this happen? She motions to Irina now.
Let's see. Does she... Oh!
Oh! Big number.
Bam!
Come
We're
back,
getting so many
kid!
fucking
Let's
20s,
fucking
Jesus.
go! This is probably one of the worst nat 20s I've ever rolled, but okay. Irina fast forwards you guys. A plume of red spores. You guys find yourself in a room that you guys don't recognize. Faiz doesn't recognize it either. At the top of the brothel, in one of the, I'll call it the loft spaces between its ceiling and its roofing. A little hidden alcove. Surprisingly big, but given it's a relatively large establishment, it makes sense that this gappage is also big. You guys see Adelia, who is sat at a... It's not a window, because that makes it sound like it was designed to be a window. A break in the wall that was never fixed and potentially was maybe scraped a bit more open. A break in the wall that lets her look outside from the highest, or amongst the highest parts of the brothel, whereupon she is witnessing the city going to shit. Red spore plumes arising here and there, fires breaking out here and there, gunshots continuously echoing out in the distance as anarchists and zealots are getting suppressed, rather. this is amongst the earliest days of the quarantine really going to shit. You guys might not have the full visual interpretation of it, except maybe Badger. Badger did do a bit of sneaky-deaky looting during the beginning of the quarantine. But yeah, this is quite familiar. The sounds, if nothing else. And she's just sat there at a fancy chair that is more than a bit damaged. One leg missing that she's balanced against like a stack of books. And she's just sitting there, stirring a cup of tea. Shakily so. The silver spoon. I guess you would have a silver spoon at this point. The wooden spoon rattling against the semi-chipped ceramic. She is crying. The only light filling this lost space being the break in the wall, this red, ominous glow peeking into this hidden alcove, which otherwise is pitch dark. Well, not pitch dark. No, not that pitch. It is quite dark. It is quite dark, but not pitch dark.
Irina, look out! Right, and Delia, look out.
And with her potentially only act of courage in life, she drinks deeply this tea.
Oh.
Oh no.
Sets it down gently and leans and sort of envelops herself, presses against the cushion of this ruined chair, looking out through the crack in the wall as she slowly falls asleep forever. Mina has this sort of aghast look on her face. Faiz is taking deep breaths. Arnie is like mouthing, "What the fuck?" Like, that's fucked up, bro. That's fucked up. He says the anarchist. But Eva turns to look at Irina. "This is how you died." She nods. She walks over to Adelia's corpse and tries to interact with the body, but she just sort of phases through it. Realizes that she can't. Or can she? Let's find out. Nope. Classic. There's an extract of nightshade. Madame Alicia always kept some, though she would never give it out in such high dosage. But I knew where she saved it.
I think Falk has removed his hat by this point, holding it to his chest.
I'm sorry.
I'd always thought the bugbear was the one behind your demise.
She shakes her head. The bugbear was a part of the plague. And so was I. When we first met. By that point.
So, wait, so... She met the bugbear after death, is that what she's saying? Still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure.
So then, this is your final memory as Adelia.
She nods.
So where do we go from here?
She looks out the crack in the wall. Closes her eye. You guys expect another wave of red spores to wash out from her, but it doesn't. Instead, you guys see the outside world. This is hard to say. It accelerates but the real only indication of its acceleration is the speed at which conflict and fires and rioting and assorted anarchy breaks out. Walls being put up, checkpoints, that sort of stuff. Because you guys can't see the sun and the sky moving in an accelerated manner. You guys can only see the effects of the plague. But you guys do see the outside world accelerate. No one has keen mind, maybe thankfully so. Can you guys roll me your nature or survival if you're trying to approximate how much time is passing?
I think
What are we
Karen
rolling
would
for?
turn away from this side. I don't think he would look.
Fair enough. To determine how much time is passing in the outside.
I more meant what the roll was.
Nature or
Survival or
survival.
nature.
I see. Thank you. They are the same. Wow.
Yeah, Falk, it's hard to tell. Dahlia, it's hard to tell. Jin, you can sort of gather by the speed of fire how much time is passing. Badger, that's a really fucking good roll for survival. You could sort of feel it. Very, very faintly, but there is an increase in day and night, at least in the beginning points of the quarantine. You remember experiencing it. It's like a few degrees warmer in the day, a few degrees less in the nights. Still pretty tightly centralized to one another, and depending upon how close you are to a fire happening, but you can figure how much time has passed into Jin and Badger. Only about 3 to 4 days pass before this next occurrence happens. You guys could see Adelia's body. It's not perfectly preserved, but there must be something in that extract that is causing some level of preservation. Because she definitely doesn't decay as fast as she should. Or maybe it's something else, which might painfully make itself aware to you guys. As you guys hear and then see a sort of mimic of what Irina did earlier when she changed from that bar wench's visage to her true form. Sounds and visuals similar to that, except, well, there's one thing new added. You guys hear the sounds of something scraping, biting, nipping. Then replaced by the sound of cracking and shattering of bone. As you guys see a centipede work its way out from Irina.
At all. What the fuck?
It's about as thick as an arm.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not small. Maybe like a child's arm, but still pretty noticeable, right?
Way too big for a normal centipede.
It's like
Way too big for a normal
spinal
centipede. Something like that, yeah.
Ugh.
It does look like it's made of bone and most of its composition. It's caked with blood and viscera, but that's not surprising in the slightest.
What?
And it just cracks its way out from Adelia's body like an egg. The sudden and violent force to do so fissuring her body to a capacity to what she looks like right now. Not fully there, but mostly there. And it just crawls down her body, down the back of this ruined fine chair that she had made her coffin. And then it skitters out. It crawls out the hole in the wall. The same one that gives you vision to the outside world.
Oh, that's the centipede Grover was talking about.
Can all of you roll me religion?
Okay.
Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
What if I don't want to be religious in this moment, Crash?
What if I in fact don't want to find God because it might be a bug? And big money, no whammy. That's some pretty big money.
Magic hands.
Magic guides,
Might
fuck
as
you
well.
on the... I'm just
Might as well, might as well. Send it. You can't really roll much worse. Okay, wow, that's really good. So, all of you across the board except Badger. Sorry, buddy. To all of you across the board except Badger, you guys see that there is some interesting, I'll call it slates of coloration on this centipede. It's not particularly like colorful and bright like a butterfly, right? Not at all. But there is some patterning to it along its carapace. the thing that catches you keen religious-eyed individuals is at certain points when it's crawling out of Adelia's body, it does, like, as it's going down the back of the chair, sort of crunch together, right? So if we imagine, like, it's like carapace, sort of like layering on top of each other. Because otherwise it's like more scattered, right? It's like more pulled apart, like a slinky. When it is crunched together, you guys do see the makings of, like, I'll call it like a trail, like a wake of a comet. Although don't misconstrue, it's not a comet. And it culminates towards the head of the centipede, and you guys see something. You don't know what it's conferred with, but it's definitely some religious iconography on its head. Barely making out some visage of a skull and spinal column, and rib cage. So it's not like a clearly drawn tattoo and everything, right? It's like a lot more blobby, like a Rorschach test. But yeah, there's that's a dark insight into the centipede that was in Irina.
I mean, yeah.
Time doesn't accelerate much beyond it.
Completely lost.
Before you guys see Irina begin moving. And it is, when I say Irina begin moving, I mean like the body that was Adelia, that is now Irina begin moving. As you guys see fungal growths begin culminating and growing out of her, until she eventually just gets to the point of, well, where she is today. One thing that does catch you guys, though, is the sound of bone crunching. And to those of you that have the stomach to look at what's happening, she was missing a spine.
Oh, the centipede was a spine.
Yeah.
It was her spine and some portions of her ribs, but it does seem like she regenerated that part, albeit that's probably like one of the most functional parts of the human body, so it makes sense why she needed it. So, if we want to go about like House MD medical terms, her current vertebrae are thoroughly Irina's, whereas the vertebrae of that centipede were Adelia's. Something spinal fluid test. I don't know. House
Final
MD.
tap. I don't know how it's MD.
You see Irina crunching like a doll, like fixing herself, and then after some sickening moments, like a minute or so of this, she puts her hands on the armrests of this fine chair and pushes herself up off it in this like Frankenstein's monster-esque sort of way. Her back, just like me in real life right now, is a bit damaged, and then she like rights her stance, and you guys can hear the vertebra just as she like it fixes itself. She really does thoroughly look undead in this moment. And then she fixes her neck with a sickening crunch, and just begins looking around, having gained some new awareness. And she sees you guys.
Uh-oh.
She doesn't blink, although I guess in fairness, Irina doesn't normally blink, but seeing her not blink after just getting out of bed is a bit more eerie.
After getting out of bed.
Her deathbed.
Yeah.
Jin just does like a little kind of zoned out like hand wave, like hello. Like he doesn't entirely know what to do in this situation, so that just thing is just hi.
Your guys' Irina steps in between her and you guys and holds out her arms in this like stop it sort of way.
Hold it right there.
You violated.
Hold up.
The two of them have a bit of a stare down. The newly formed one spilling out spores. I think yeah, she has to try to corrupt herself, fix herself. I don't know how to describe it.
Superimpose her will upon her.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
She has to face herself.
She
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
Dice, thank you for helping me. Thank you for facilitating the story. Thank you, Dice. Thank you.
Hell
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Appreciate it. She holds out her arms for several tense minutes, and then she eventually lets them down, begins walking to herself and hugging herself. The other one just sort of, I guess, is sort of still puppet marionette way, just sort of taking it. And then it turns into a cloud of red spores that spill out through the crack in the wall in a manner quite familiar to you guys. The same way, Irina normally shrouds herself and hides her presence with you guys. The same way that you guys met her, technically, when she was helping you from afar. And from the crack in the wall, the world loses its color. The lines of definition begin getting erased and undone, leaving you guys once more in a pale white void. I am going to change the music. As much as I love the reign of LA Noir, but there is no city you guys are in anymore.
How's it raining in this white void?
It's white. It's all like white particle effects.
Shut up! Just enjoy the rain. It's very pleasant.
And I want to play Olivia.
What's stopping you?
I'm playing D&D.
So, Irina just sort of looks at where she was just hugging herself, looking at her hands, pondering.
Walk up beside her. Look at her hands. See nothing. See hands.
Yeah, you see hands. Yeah, lovely hands.
Place my hand on her shoulder.
She turns to look at you.
How do you feel?
She looks away for a moment before turning to look you in the eye. I felt it again. That pull. Even in the dream, it felt so real. But this time, it was easier to resist.
You didn't buckle for a second.
She, to the best she can with half a face, beams at you. Yeah.
Puts a smile on his face. It's a smile that like shows in the eye, right?
Yeah. I felt my original purpose when she was looking at all of you guys. She wanted to hurt you. But I stopped her.
Yes, you did. And because you were there, we weren't afraid.
She looks off and away at that comment. I told her that these are my friends, and they'll be yours too. Then she left to go see.
And we know how the rest goes.
Yeah. Mina just sort of like squints her eyes at that. Thinks about it. Decides like I don't know. I'm not cracking into that. She just gives up the thought. She's like unsquints and looks away. Like nope.
No, we don't
Don't
even
care enough.
traumatize a dog twice.
Oh, I didn't touch the loop, did I? Oh, no, there you go.
There you go. Just a long wind down.
What say
Well.
we get back to the real world then? The waking world.
She takes your hand, squeeze it.
Ah.
Let's. Before we go back, though, she lets go of your hand. Takes a few steps away from you. And then she turns in a almost dancing sort of way, like a ballerina. She turns on her heel. Her heel? Her tippy toe. And then falls into a low bow. In a manner quite similar to what you do in your homeland, Jin.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for coming to get me. I don't imagine it was easy. And I don't imagine the road ahead will welcome someone like me. Thank you for everything.
Come what may. We'll all face it together. Yeah.
He unbows, not fully, but mostly, nodding. Yeah. Together. Yeah, sis. Happy to have you back. Can we get out of here now? It does not take an insight check. Mina's touching up, a bit teary-eyed, but she's not trying to let show. She's too cool for that.
No, man, I'm not crying and someone threw water in my eyes.
She's being real T-Sun deer.
Never say that again.
It's the sun deer! Alright, he's gonna shoot laser. He's shooting beams of light at us now! The sun deer, no! Gets nuked because that's
Send the spy deer at it.